Let's switch gears now and speak about the other matter we hope to take up tonight, which is the plight of Nigerians who are seeking to migrate out of the country. Now, Honorable Abike has been warning that Nigerians who want to leave the country should leave on a good note with proper documentation. There's a video that surfaced online of some Nigerians who are staying in a shelter in Brampton, in Canada, where Honorable Abike Dabiri visited and shown that the willingness to help them.
And hopefully, we pray and hope that they will get out of this situation. It really is not quite a pleasant sight to behold. And we thank the Nigerians who have been supporting them.
We thank you for the stuff that you do for us and the main that you're going to be doing for us. We appreciate it, though. Thanks.
And we just brought good news to our brothers. We've been working behind the scenes, though we're not on camera all the time, but that's fine. My name is Pastor Vivian Ituka. I'm the founder of Better Food Bank. And by virtue, I had a meeting yesterday with the appeal board. The appeal was they were doing the budget, and Mayor Brown has promised us that by next week, fingers and toes crossed, we should have about 800 beds that will become available, so they will be able to be sitting somewhere else and being able to.
You will need to endure. Don't have any.
That was the video which surfaced online, which we can see vividly. Honorable Abike Dabiri, who is the Director General of Nigerian Diaspora Commission. She's live with us virtually from Dallas in the United States. Honorable Abike Dabiri, thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Sean. Nice to be with you this afternoon here.
it's evening and it's almost 8 p.m. here in Nigeria, but it's all good. Give us an understanding of what we saw there in that video about the situation. There are some Nigerians who are living in shelter, say out in Brampton, I guess, in Canada. I mean, it's a very cold region. Perhaps sometimes -6, -7, sometimes up to -10 in that region. What was the situation like? Why were they there?
Thank you, Sean. For me, I was invited by Nigerians in Brampton in particular to visit and come and see what was going on there. And day one, we saw very amazing businesses by Nigerians in Brampton. I mean, entrepreneurs, Wale Rabiu owning a bakery, a whole lot of them doing amazing things in Brampton, and we were received by the mayor of Brampton. But of course, I could not leave without visiting the Nigerians in the shelter. Last week, a Nigerian died in one of those shelters. Even me, being a visitor, I could barely survive 15 minutes in the cold. So not to talk of being in that cold, sleeping overnight. So we went to the shelter, and that's just one shelter. What you showed was just one shelter of Nigerians. Africa, well, people generally...
Apologies, Honorable Abike, for cutting in. Shelter might not be a language that a lot of Nigerians are familiar with. If you can just explain what a shelter is, because shelter here is a house where ordinary and normal people live in, those who are okay.
Okay, shelter, where you saw that I visited, means a place where when you come to Canada, you get to the airport, you now hold your hands up and say, hey, I'm here, but I have nowhere to go to. No matter your circumstance, they're going to be kind enough to you to say, okay, we'll put you somewhere. So that is a shelter. So what you saw there were Nigerians who got there without proper documentation, who went there and said they're coming as tourists. And then some exceeded their tourist visa and say, I'm not leaving your country anymore. So that is a shelter. So what Canada does is take you somewhere where you will stay. And then you're going to say, well, I want to be your citizen. I want an asylum. The rather than send you back immediately, they will listen to you and say, why do you want an asylum in our country? Then if you convince them, they'll say, okay, we can give you a place to stay before we take a decision on you. That is a shelter. So Canada is overstretched from what we found out, with many, many people well, saying that, well, they want to stay and they don't want to leave. So they put you where they can put you. So when they put you there, what we did was went to visit them, give them food, a bit of support. And you saw Wale Rabiu, one of Abike bread, give them bread. There's a lady there, Pastor Vivian, who runs a food bank to give them food so that they can eat. And then the mayor of Brampton, whom we met earlier, had said he's going to provide 800 more beds. So what you saw there, in the evening, they're going to put their mattresses on the floor. Wherever you find yourself, then you sleep. So that's the external view of the shelter. So on the floor in the evening, 800 people, 1,000, I don't know the number, but you're going to put your bed, and don't forget they're not just Nigerians, you're going to put mattresses on the floor, if there are mattresses. If there are no mattresses, you're just going to sleep on the floor. So that is what a shelter is. And for us, the advice, and here's a very important message, which I took to them. The Nigerian government cannot help you, but we can sympathize with you and say, for the next person, hoping that, let me run abroad and then raise my hands up, seek a shelter. Some said, oh, we're being persecuted by Boko Haram. Some said, we're being persecuted because we're gay. Now, here's the thing. They know the truth. They know you're not being persecuted because you're gay. You have cross-dressers in Nigeria who are even on social media telling you that they are cross-dressers. So they know the truth. At the end of the day, if they deny you that asylum, they're not even going to deport you. They're going to leave you. Then trouble starts. How do you survive? You're not even going to survive. Then you get into trouble, you're going into fraud and all that, and then you're going to prison. So our message is, if you're planning to do that, desist from it. Because there's no point. And those people you saw, they're paid for tickets. It's not cheap buying tickets, even an economy ticket to anywhere in Europe, not talk of Canada. So they paid. One of them told me that he sold his property to get there. So if you sell your property and you have 10 million naira, why would you want to now go to a shelter, a homeless place, saying that you're being persecuted in your country? So that is what we're going to say there.
The kind of honorable, and I know that you do not deal with only one country. You have your connection in several countries of the world where we have Nigerians who are residing. And you see a lot of shelters across, even in Washington, D.C., you drive, as you're coming from Virginia, from the airport into town, you see shelters all the way. In New York, you see a lot of shelters all the way. In fact, Dallas, where you are, you see a lot of Nigerians. You'll be shocked how many of Nigerians who are living in that country. But the question is, the kind of frustration that a lot of people face. Some people have jobs. It may not be paying them as much, but they are so frustrated and feel that there is a greener pasture out there that they can, and no matter what you tell them, they still want to experience it. What do you tell these kind of people who feel that Nigeria is not giving them the real deal?
Sharon, that's why we're talking to you this afternoon or evening. You're looking for a job, but you go to a place where you're going to die, most likely. You're looking for a job, but you're going to a place where you're not going to get a job. You're looking for a job, but you're going to a place where you go to sleep on the streets. And then who knows what happens to you thereafter. So here's the thing. I agree that government must ensure that the environment makes it possible for you to at least, be able to say, well, I can survive here and there. But the key thing here is awareness. And that's my message. The awareness for that next person who says, I'm just going to jump on a plane, I'm going to cross the desert to go to these countries. It's very tough out here. I'm in Dallas now. And like you said, I've seen too many that are telling me, we wish we did not embark on this journey. So you can't stop migration, legal or illegal. But let's reduce the temptation to go and get into a tougher place. So if you're going, there's no problem about that. I have a medical doctor who I met yesterday, who is practicing here. He's frustrated. He says he doesn't like the environment. He says he wishes he was in Nigeria. He says he wishes he was earning, let's say 1 million naira Nigerian money, and then he'll be back home. And I told him that we're working with doctors, we're working professionals to say what can be done about that. So don't live for greener Don't live for what you call a greener pasture to what I call a redder, if there's any work like that, pasture. Because really, 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 until you get there, before you know what you're going to see. And then don't forget that there are people who are trafficked. There are people who are lied to. I met a guy who paid 6 million naira to a trafficker who promised him employment. But then he got there and realized that there was nothing like that. At that point, you raise your hands up and say, well, I'm stuck. I need an asylum. So I think it's more about awareness and then being told the truth. Where you're going to, ensure that you have a job you're going to. Ensure that you have somebody who's going to look after you. Ensure that you know what you're going to before you embark on those justices. For Pastor Vivian, there's a lot of work for her. For Marilyn, there's a lot of work for them. For Bayo Adedosu, who is talking to them there. Wale Rabiu, who is an employer of labor, because he has a bakery in Canada. There's a lot of work for them because they can't say Nigerians and turn the other way. And for the mayor of Brampton, I have to commend the mayor, who particularly goes out of his way with this team to ensure that he does the best for asylum seekers in Canada. Yeah. But as a country, we need to tell ourselves the truth. It's not green out there. It's very, very red. It's very, very terrible out there. And that is the message I'm passing to Nigerians who are thinking of taking that next step of saying, and then the traffickers will tell them, don't worry, just get your visa, tourist visa. When you get there, raise your hands up, seek asylum. And then they lie about Nigeria. How can you lie that you're
Honorable Abike Dabiri, I mean, I remember some of those reports you did back there in the days when you were on the street as a reporter, and some of the very, very terrible situation, plight of some Nigerians. But you will, over the years, discover that there is a failure of leadership in this country, to the extent that those who have just some little earnings will abandon those earnings and live for what they are not sure of. I mean, I don't know how we can get a commitment from the government of Bola Tinubu tonight. The frustration that Nigerians get to the point that you leave an assured position to an unassured position is a level of frustration. The people think and see pictures of people going abroad. They don't even know what they do over there. But no matter what you tell them, they still think that it's greener. What kind of commitment is the Bola Tinubu government going to give Nigerians today to say, yes, things are tough, things are in fact getting tougher, but what do Nigerians need to look forward to?
Sure, it's not about Bola Tinubu, it's about you and I, and the awareness we're creating. I'll tell you a story. My own driver, in the heat of bringing people from Libya, went to the market and he saw a lady who said, look, all I need is 40,000 naira. My daughter will go to Europe. And my driver, who is not even literate, said to her, haven't you heard the stories about people being brought back? Didn't you see that girl who died? Didn't you see that one who said she was drinking urine? She didn't care. She said, I let my daughter, come and make her in other words, let my daughter go to Europe. So it's about the mindset. It's about the awareness. I've done this for a few years, from journalism to politics to what I'm doing today. There are some people that will never, ever, they will tell you that their destiny is abroad. I've received people who came back. Government brought them back. And guess what? They returned again. And guess what? They're calling me again and saying we're stuck again. So it's about you and I. It's about that mindset. It's about saying that this is what you're going to meet when you get there. Look, out of 100 people, one of them said to me, when we said, well, you heard that buyer say, the grace of God. You know what they said? That grace of God will be me. So the hope is that out of 100, 1,000, well, that one person will just be me. So how do you convince that kind of a person? I've been having conversations since, I haven't even had a break since 2 days ago. So it's about mindset, it's about awareness, about letting you know.
It was just yesterday.
It's about those who come back, telling their stories. That team has a role to play in multi-agency, sectoral collaboration, about immigration. Tell them, some of those people are not going to get the asylum. So when they come back, what is the story? What are the stories they are telling? What are you putting on your program, Shehu, and other media organizations?
It was just yesterday that the National Economic Council was talking about the Japa syndrome and a possible partnership with the European Union. And I hope that that will pan out very well in Dallas, where you are, Honorable Abike. I know hundreds of Nigerians who are doing very well. In fact, there's some parts of Texas that they almost cannot do without Nigerians in some sectors. Nigerians are that good. Well, let me take you to the situation in Ethiopia, Kaliti prisons. You must have heard about the plight of Nigerians in that place. Hundreds of them who are languishing, either in prisons, some of them who are dead now. What is the government doing about this?
Yes, a bit about the EU. The situation is that in Germany says they have about 12,000 Nigerians in quotes, that they want to deport. And Nigeria is saying, show us the evidence that they are Nigerians. If you don't have a Nigerian passport, how do I know you're a Nigerian? I know some will get there, again, talking about Japa, then they tear their passport, throw it away. So how can I prove that you're Nigerian? So that is the issue. And Nigeria is looking at it holistically. You know, as an EU, look at this issue and let's decide who are our people. We don't want to bring back non-Nigerians. And I've seen a lot of people just claim they are Nigerians. So what Nigeria is saying, prove to me that you're a Nigerian. Show me your passport. Show me your proof of identification. So that is the EU matter. In the case of Ethiopia, I'm sure you all saw, I don't know whether you have the video of some Nigerian who did a video and just said, oh, 250 Nigerians are in Ethiopia prison, they're going to kill them. I'm telling you categorically that that video was a lie. And that is part of the problem. Anybody can do a video. That is a subject of Senate investigation. I was in the Senate, and I believe that next week, the chairman Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs, Senator Victor Ume, will present his report. So I don't want to I don't want to go ahead what is going to present. But here's what we told the Senate. Now, that is a lie. You don't have 250 Nigerians in Ethiopia prison. I give them the list of Nigerians, about over 100 and something, less than 150, that are in that particular prison you're talking about. That is one prison, Sheon, one prison. And 99% of them are there for drugs. And some time ago, don't let me, be specific, some time ago, the Nigerian mission in Ethiopia had a long conversation with the Ethiopian authorities, and you know what? They got amnesty for every Nigerian in that prison. So they left. They let them go. They came back to their country. But guess what? A whole lot of them returned again, committed the same offense, drugs, and then they were arrested. So now, what that gentleman is saying, and that man who did the video should tell you his relationship with those people in that prison. So what he's saying is that, well, they committed the drugs again. So open the door, and to hell with you, return to their country. But then as a government, Nigeria is not even saying, we won't listen. But what Nigeria is now saying is, okay, you gave us amnesty. We know, we're sorry. We know they returned again. We apologize, we're sorry. There are people. But what we're doing now is having a treaty, an MOU to say, well, let them serve their sentences in Nigeria. We said we're sorry. You pardoned us, but they returned again. So let them serve their sentences in Nigeria. So there's a document with the Ministry of Justice asking that the MOU be signed so that those prisoners you saw there will come to Nigeria to serve the rest of their sentence. Now, here's the thing. Ethiopia does not have money to even take care of prisoners. And what the guy said, even Ethiopian prisoner, any prisoner in Ethiopia, they will tell you what they go through. The food is, you can't even give your rat. But that's not for me to talk about, but it's a problem. So if Nigeria signs the MOU and people like you, Sheon, agree and publicize that, those guys will come and complete their sentences in Nigeria. But Ethiopia is saying, we're not allocating more funds, we're not giving them more food, we're not giving them drugs. If they're sick, then the relatives come and take care of them. The Nigerian mission has been doing that. But you do that for 10, they become 20, they become 30, and it keeps increasing. So that is the problem. And then, here's the thing. They are not travelers from Nigeria. No. Nigerian travelers to Ethiopia maybe runs to thousands every day. They are transiting. So Nigeria, again, needs to enter into agreement with Ethiopia, Brazil, South Africa. That is the route of the traffic drugs. What is happening? What can we do about it? So they are not Nigerians from Nigeria. They're actually transiting. So in the process of transiting between these countries, they are arrested. So Ethiopia keeps them in prison, and the condition in prison, I know, is not the very best. So that is the situation. Yeah. So now let the Ministry of Justice speed up the MOU and complete their sentences in Nigeria.
All right. I mean, when that video surfaced, I was one of those who raised eyebrow and looked at it. And thank God that the Senate actually looked into it, set up the committee, and it was also established that it was exaggerated and some of those things were not actually true. Well, thank you so much for throwing light.
Yeah, but before you leave, before you leave, that brings us to what surfaces on social media. If you take every video, then you're not going to take the serious ones. That you're not going to take the serious ones. The guy who did the video, look for him, call him. What is the relationship? He has a relationship with almost half of those drug barons who were returned back to prison. So don't just take any video. And I told the Senate, don't just take any video and look into it. So let us also look at those videos that circulate online and analyze.
Honorable Abike Dabirewa, it's a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much indeed for clearing the air and speaking to us on this matter. Thank you so much indeed for tonight.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I appreciate it.